everyone, and welcome. This is Rachel, the Modern Shaman, and I am glad you're here. If you are new to this YouTube channel, I would love to invite you to check out my website, which is themodernshaman.net. I kind of guide everyone there if they're new, because it's just a great resource and kind of a hub for everything that I do. The resources that I offer for my one-on-one sessions. I'm kind of pointing back to that couch because that's where I have my sessions in this office in San Antonio, Texas. Although you can have your sessions online now, everything's on Zoom and on the phone. It's very easy. As well as all of my teaching resources. I have a master's degree in education, and I use that in my many years in the paranormal field to help others learn to strengthen their own psychic gifts and learn about the non-physical realm, mediumship, and shamanic awareness of the elementals. I have a lot of masterclass teaching curriculum that's also on the website. So if you're interested in any of that, please go to the website. It is a great way to connect with me and also to send in your questions if you'd like to ask something for this YouTube channel. Oh, I also want to invite you, if you are in and around the San Antonio area, I have yet another new moon ceremony coming up. This one is July 5th, and it is a journey with the angels. That's the title that I gave it, and it's specifically a lotus tea ceremony that I'm having here in my courtyard, and then moving into a shamanic journey where I'm drumming and we're sitting out in a circular form under the stars with the intention to connect with the angelic realm. So it's going to be a beautiful time, really coming together and raising our vibrational kind of group energy and personal energy into alignment with the angelic. So if you're interested in that, there's information on the events page of my website. You can reach out and register there. Okay, let's get on with the question for today. All right, so this one just says, I'm laughing, but you'll know why when I say the question. It just says, hello, who are you? Please do a video on identity and the identity of the shaman. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. I literally hear that in my head, like it feels intense with the way you're asking that. I have a lot of thoughts around this topic of identity. And I feel like where we are as a human species is really bringing a lot of enlightenment and transitional energy into this firm, archaic definition of identity, which I love. I feel like we're kind of breaking old paradigms when it comes to identity. It's funny, I asked this question when I was seeking to connect with my guides for the very first time. And I saw my guides, and a lot of the kind of new age curriculum will say, okay, what's my guide's name, right? Ask them who they are, ask them about themselves. So that was kind of my first protocol as I went into it. And I said, who are you? And the response that came back was, I am you. And I think that is the most honest and authentic answer that I could give to that question, is the answer that I also received from my guides, because at the core level of all existence, we are one. And any understanding of separation is simply not true in the essence of what truth really is. Are you staying with me? Am I talking too esoteric? Identity in itself is interesting in this human form. And I will say that I have been many people, and when I talk about myself, I hope that you in consideration of the first thing that I said, that I am you, that you take that as a precipice for everything that I'm saying from here on out in the video, meaning let that be a foundation to relate and resonate as me in all that I say when I reference myself. I'm referencing you also, the universal you that is essence of intellectual awareness or isness or soul put into a human form for a human experience. And if you can stay with me throughout and let your mind relax a bit into the semantics, which means the discussion of language. Don't get caught up in the language in which I use. Try to stay loose in the mind to let the language fit an understanding that your soul resonates with. Okay? So I would say that identity for every human and for myself in my experience will always feel like there's something missing, like I just don't belong, I don't fit. Because there is a core knowledge. Now, I don't mean knowledge from the mind, I mean knowing. There is a core knowing in all of existence that I believe if we are aware enough, self-aware enough, if we are acknowledging enough and allowing reflection enough in our life, that we will see that there is a core essence that never quite feels like this experience is all that there is, or is reality, or is truth, or is enough. And I believe that in itself is true, that it isn't all that we are, that we don't ever quite fit as human, because it is a transient experience for our soul. And on a deep soul level, we know this. And so I believe this is kind of that origination that exists in all humans that feels like I just don't belong, or I'm seeking my people, I'm seeking my home, I'm seeking a truth, because we in a deep awareness know that this experience is not all that there is, or is not complete. And so in a way, we have that shared identity as a singular soul. And that identity would be one as a spirit having a human experience. So I would first say that's my identity, if you would like to define. I don't like to define. I'm not a fan of labels and things like this. They may be, in a playful way, helpful at one point in your life. And I think in my experience, I have been many people at many different times in this life. Who I was as a child, who I was as a young adult, who I was when I was married to my previous husband. All of these things almost feel like completely different lives within one life, because there are aspects of myself that I was in that relationship or in that family, in that household, in that dorm room, that needed those aspects of me because they came out as a reactionary response to the environment that I was placed within, to the relationship that I was placed within. And all of those things exist within me and you. Remember, this is universal as well, because we are all things, right? But whatever was needed in that environment would come forth, and I would be that person, or you would be that person. And then whatever lesson was completed or needed to be learned was learned, and then I moved on and evolved, as we all do. And those aspects of the self are no longer present because they're no longer active or relevant with my current people that I'm living around or within in the culture that is my everyday life or my job or what have you. So in a way, the identity shifts, becomes a fluid evolution of growth, right? And although we can look back on those aspects of our life and in loving ways, like looking at ourselves as a child or looking at ourselves and how we were at certain times. Sometimes it always feels strange when somebody from your past like comes back up and starts talking to you about memories. I remember when we did this and we did that, and you're not that person anymore, but you still have a loving energy towards the individual that holds those memories dear. And so you share in that energy in the moment of like, oh yes, that was beautiful, that was funny, that was great, I remember that. Or maybe you don't at all, but at the same time you walk away and you think, man, I feel so far removed from that person that I once was. And that is evolution right there. That is the journey of the soul in this human experience of essentially coming to the earth classroom, right? To learn and to grow. My identity as a shaman, I chose this title because it is the broadest paintbrush that I could paint myself with as a spiritual leader and guide and seer. Because to me, it is the antithesis of a label. Although now it's become a lot more mainstream. And I think it's not so strange. But when I first started using that name, the modern shaman, many years ago, it was pretty unheard of. People didn't talk about plant medicine. People didn't talk about shamans. Now everybody's got a shaman and a psychic and a psychiatrist, in their back pocket. So I don't think it's as strange, but at the time, the word shaman, I love that definition of a bridge. And I love being a bridge. I even love the imagery of like bending my body backwards, like a back bend. I love this of like breaking my back, not in a negative way, but in a way of like stretching myself, like a yoga pose and, the wheel. This sense of like, I'm going to stretch myself out and let others walk the path to the other side. And so much of what I do as a shaman is essentially opening my valve of connection to the other realm up and letting others pass this way in their own journey. I think that identity as a shaman, or a bridge, if you would like a definition, is the most accurate that I can give, because it essentially has the antithesis of a personality. There is no personality there. It is just a way. It is just a bridge and an open path that one can choose to connect with the non-physical. That's always there and available. And it is my intention to use that identity as a path. I think that's the most accurate I can be. I would love to pose that same question to you in the depth with which I received your question, and hopefully you will answer, or all of you that are watching this video in the universal you will answer in the comments and share that same energy. Who are you? And how would you connect with the definition of identity? Okay, I can't wait to read these comments. I'm going to sign off here and I'll be back next week with another video. Mwah! Blessings, you guys.